He's the director of one of the most prestigious boys' choirs in London. The London Oratory Schola Cantorum Boys' Choir was founded in 1996. You've already heard them on the soundtracks of The Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter series. They've just released a brand new CD, a unique collection of sacred music titled Sacred Treasures of Venice. Here to tell us all about the new project is Charles Cole. Charles, thanks so much for being here. Sacred Treasures of Venice continues this anthology of sorts of sacred music, which is drawn from the liturgical repertoire that the Schola sings at the oratory. What inspired this new collection?
I think partly my own personal love of Venice. I love going to Venice, but Venice is an incredible place. Its history of music and composers is so rich. Of course, Venice was an incredibly powerful, important place, and there was a spiritual power concentrated there as well as political. And some of the composers who were writing music for the Ducal Chapel, which as we know better as St. Mark's Basilica, were so outstanding. So there's an extraordinary wealth of beautiful, beautiful music that we wanted to draw upon.
Is that why you chose Venice as well as St. Mark's Cathedral as the location? I mean, that really is where you recorded the album for the choir to sing.
The recording was made in London, in fact, but we did sing in St. Mark's. We were very, very fortunate to sing right in front of the tomb of St. Mark, the evangelist himself. But the recording itself was made in London.
Well, and the composers of these sacred treasures lived and worked through the culmination of the polyphonic age, which was a unique period of musical transition at the end of the Renaissance and beginning of the Baroque era. Tell us what's the significance of choosing an a cappella repertoire, which your choir focuses on, as opposed to mixing choir and instruments?
Well, towards the end of that period was when instruments were starting to be used in church, and in really St. Mark's is where a lot of that was pioneered. And the point at which the music that we're singing is drawn from is right at the end of the polyphonic period and right at the beginning of the new age that we would come to know later as the Baroque period. The culmination of the polyphonic period is its absolute peak. It's when those composers, I think, are working at the absolute zenith of their powers. It's an amazing time. But just after that, Monteverdi is probably the best example of this. Is a composer who was conscious at the time that he was on the threshold of a new era, and so he was writing in an old style, which he literally called the stile antico, the first practice, and in a new style, the stile moderna, which was known as the second practice. And that is where the instruments, they'd already started to have instruments playing in church, but they always were self-contained. They didn't perform with the musicians, and then they started to mix the two together. So really our recording is concentrating on the a cappella part of it. I
want to give viewers a little taste of what we're talking about. Here's a bit of Sacred Treasures of Venice, sung by the London Oratory Schola Cantorum Boys' Choir. Watch. You could see the inscription there, Monteverde, in the clip where the boys were singing it. He played a significant role in changing music for low masses at St. Mark's Cathedral. For those who don't know, explain the significance, the importance of Monteverdi to choral music, and really his influence on the form. He was such a giant in this area.
He certainly was. He absolutely he spanned the end of the polyphonic period and the beginning of this new period, the what would become the Baroque period. And he came from Mantua. He wasn't actually Venetian. He came from Mantua and eventually got the job he'd always prized, which was to be the maestro di capella at St. Mark's. And in that clip there, you see us singing around his tomb, which is not actually in St. Mark's, but in the Frari Church in Venice, which is a very, very significant church. It's the place where they laid to rest some of their greatest artists. Titian, for instance, the artist, is also buried in that church. So Monteverdi, really, his music and his most famous piece would be the Monteverdi Vespers, which we also performed last year. We had a sort of big Venetian year last year, which started with this recording, and then a performance of the Monteverdi Vespers, and finally a tour to Venice, which is what that footage comes from, when we were able to sing both in the Frari Church, where Monteverdi is buried, and in St. Mark's, where he worked.
Charles, where do these Christ-centric texts originate? Give our audience a sense of their meaning and how the pieces tie into the season of Lent.
Well, the music on the CD comes from all sorts of different parts of the liturgical year. Adoramus te Christe is a very devotional text. It's a very beautiful text, which is handled so beautifully by Monteverdi. It's quite incredible. But there's also a number of other texts in this recording. We have Easter texts in there. There's a text from Good Friday. So we span quite a few different parts of the church year. The thing that ties the whole thing together, of course, is that all of the composers worked in Venice.
Before I go, give me a sense of the rigorous training that these boys undergo to produce this sound and incredibly tight harmony. I mean, this sacred polyphony and chant, this isn't something you just walk in and sight sing. I mean, you really have to go through an extensive training, and there's a lot of breath control and pitch and harmonics that go into this. Give me a sense of their training.
You're absolutely right. There are no shortcuts to this kind of music making, and I think that's what makes it stand out. You know, we live in a time where we look for shortcuts all the time, but there's just no way around the hard work. The tuning particularly has to be very, very good, and the boys have to develop a really good ear so that their tuning is absolutely spot on. And the spheres of the harmonic spheres, which most of this music oscillates between, the tonic, the dominant, and the subdominant, have got to be so perfectly aligned and tuned so that everything works really, really well. The boys have a very, very punishing regime, really. They work every morning before school. They're rehearsing with me for an hour, and then they have their school day, and they also they have rehearsals during the school day as well. And I think another part of it that's important here is that this choir has something I'm quite proud of, really. The average age of all the singers in this recording is 14. So you've got boys who are as young as 9 and 10, going right up to 18, and then a few of our Newman scholars who are boys who have just left the choir, who are sort of 19 and 20. So that's the age range. And one of the boys said something really very interesting and very insightful to me recently. He said that when he was a treble singing the top line, it was like soaring through the clouds, flying above everything, and an amazing, exhilarating feeling. And now that he's a bass, he stands on the ground looking up at the harmony. I think that's just an amazing way to sort of put it. And it shows that difference as they transition through the different voice parts, how they experience the same music, but in very different ways.
Yeah, no, it does. And you do visualize and place the tone. You know, people who don't sing don't have that, that they don't have to worry about this. But when you're singing, you do have to sort of place it and see it. So I totally understand what he's saying. And when you hit those bell-like tones, on the rare occasions you can hit them, Charles, in my case, you know, you do feel like you're soaring above, you know, the world. It's an incredible feeling. But the breath control, you know, that capacity of breath and the release, that is such a difficult thing, particularly for young people. I have to say, Charles, I couldn't really find my diaphragm, I think, until I was 25 or 26 years old. You know, and I had voice and singing training throughout my whole life. It does take a lot of time to really figure out the mechanics of it, the musculature of it.
I think that's true, and also for younger children, they've got to work on their concentration. They've got to be resilient and be able to concentrate for a long period of time. And also in polyphony, there's a particular other area which is it's a sort of it's like a little version of Christianity. We all have to look out for each other and be kind to each other. And so when we're singing music, you're having to listen to the other parts. You're having to hand on a good lead to another part that's going to draw its tonality from you, and that kind of looking out for each other. That's a very important part of polyphony as well. So I think there are other skills that they can learn from this music.
I agree. I think it teaches you concentration, accommodation of others, that you're not the center of everything, and there is a certain refinement of heart, I think, when you sing material like this, because it just opens you up to the power of music, the power of God and worship. And it, you know, this repertoire is just so rich. This isn't like you're just doing a show tune. Not that there's anything wrong with show tunes. I love show tunes too. But there's a richness here that I think does something to a young person when you expose them to it in their formative years. Has the Pope's restrictions on the celebration of the ancient form of the liturgy in any way affected what you do at the London Oratory Schola Cantorum?
It hasn't, no, because we sing the Saturday evening Vigil Mass, which is a Novus Ordo Mass. So we haven't seen any impact from restrictions at all as things stand at the moment, which is good. I think it's really important that this treasury of music is looked after. It's so special, and it is sacred in that true sense. It has that purpose, and as you said, you made a very good point there about how this music does seem to refine the heart. Yes. It sort of aligns the soul. It tunes the soul into what it ought to be in you know, an attempt to encounter the divine.
Well, it's truly sacred music. And Charles, when we have more time, the roots of polyphony and chant, I mean, this goes back to the very origins of human expression in song. I mean, and certainly the earliest days of the church, it touches all of that. So it kind of is, it's like our opera, and we should protect it, and it should be elongated and moved into the future, because it is the entire tradition moving through time. And there's not something fuddy-duddy or rigid or passive about it or wanting to go back. It's preserving what is and what always will be. What's next for you and the Schola?
Our next tour is going to be to Italy again. We had such a great time in Venice last year, so now we're going to be going to Florence, and looking forward to that very much, because that's another amazing place. And the following year, we're working on a tour to the United States. We've been very fortunate to be invited to a festival that's taking place in Grand Rapids. Next year, 2025, is a very, very significant year. It's the 500th anniversary of the very greatest Renaissance polyphonist, Palestrina. He was born in 1525, and he died in 1594. And this festival is going to last for the whole year, and they've invited 3 British choirs and a whole host of American choirs to come and take part. So we'll be in the States in July 2025, and I'm hoping to build a tour around that.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that. And in the meantime, Sacred Treasures of Venice by the London Oratory Schola Cantorum Boys Choir is available now at music outlets everywhere online, including Amazon and Apple Music. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.